You guys get one of these yet?
No.
Hey, do you run the Drake relays?
I almost, but not quite.
Almost.
Our track team worked the field events every year.
High school level, or?
Yeah, Des Moines area.
Des Moines. I grew up in. This was a long time ago. My hair's a lot whiter than yours. I grew up in Red Oak, which is on the southwest corner, about 50 miles from Council Bluffs.
Okay. Yeah, I'm from Denison. So.
Oh, my brother was born in Denison.
Yeah.
So was my dad.
Are you going to eat? Yeah, we're on our way there. Okay.
Well, I better give her one too.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's cool that you're from Denison. We used to.
I interrupt. I'm sorry.
No, I'm interruption to everybody else's day. So, we used to play against Denison. We weren't in the same conference, but every once in a while we'd play against them in basketball and run against them in cross country. You can't tell, but I used to run cross country and track. But so what'd you run?
Sprints.
Sprints.
I anchored the relays mostly.
Cool.
I did 9th grade track.
And then you were like, that's it?
Yep, pretty much. I hate running. I was just there for the social aspect, but I did hurdles.
You did hurdles, really?
I love hurdles, yeah.
But you don't like running?
I don't really like running. It distracts me from running. I think like jumping over stuff, like that's fun.
So
like,
steeplechase,
yes.
so you'd love the steeplechase then?
I don't know what that is.
Well, it used to be just for horses, but now now they have a track and field version of that.
You get to jump into puddles.
You jump over really high hurdles.
I don't want to get dirty.
Well, no, it's clean water.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, depending on where you're at. So.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you guys are on your way to lunch, so you have a good day. Check those out when you have time.
What was your name?
I'm Todd.
Todd. Meredith.
So here's the deal. I am a Christian evangelist, and I'm part of this project called The Biggest Question. And so the project that we have going on is we're going to universities and colleges, whether they be university level or just regular college level or even community colleges, and we stop and we engage people in worldview questions to find out where people at the college level are at as far as their worldview. You know, what philosophical views you're taking, you know, what's molded in you and shaped you up until this point in life, and where you see yourself heading in light of worldviews. And so
big questions.
Yeah, exactly, which is why it's called The Biggest Question.
Yeah, it is.
And so it asks some really tough ones. And I know you guys have classes to get to, and I know you have lunch to get to, and I really would love to talk, but I don't want to keep you from it. So
that's fine.
Yeah.
It's actually really funny because we're all involved with the campus ministry here.
Really?
The Navigators.
Yeah.
Okay, I know who the Navigators
we just got
are.
back from our fall conference yesterday.
Okay, so what was your name?
Meredith.
Meredith. I'm Todd, and you are?
Cole.
Cole. So you guys have a couple of minutes then?
I guess, yeah.
So
you're the only one with class, aren't you?
What time
After
class?
On Monday, you're the only one with class. How does that happen?
I had 4 classes Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So.
I had my only
3.
one.
And they're like what, an hour and a half now?
Hour on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's an hour.
15.
Hour 15 on Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah. When I did college, we didn't even have time. Nobody had invented it yet. So, Meredith. Kathryn. Cole. I'll forget again. So, so those will be very helpful for you guys. Have you heard of Wretched Radio or Wretched TV? No. Heard of Way of the Master, Living Waters Ministries?
Maybe Living Waters Ministry.
Well, there's a lot of things out there called Living Waters, but Way of the Master, Living Waters is a very specific thing. So the question, since you guys you're all part of a campus ministry, obviously ostensibly Christian.
Yeah. Hopefully. No. Hopefully, but false prophets. It's fine.
Hey, you have a sense of humor, I really like that because it actually really helps with ministry.
Engaging with people.
With people.
I feel like that's one of my gifts.
Sarcasm.
Pretty much, I'm just like laughing at my own jokes.
Sarcasm is your gift.
My boyfriend and I we have the same sense of humor, and we're just like.
You share a sense of humor?
Yeah, we share the same sense of humor.
So who has it today? You?
Yeah, that's good. Half and half. Yeah.
You're funny. So, part of you guys were at a conference, just got back from the national conference. You said so. Navigators, I assume, is about. I've heard about it. I don't know a lot about the ministry itself, but I would assume that Navigators is in particular about engaging the campus culture with Christ. Would I assume?
Our mission is to know Christ and to make Him known.
Okay, she's got it memorized.
Yeah, it's pretty short. So.
I'll forget it by the time you. So, what would you guys say individually is the best way to make Christ known as Christians? told you I was going to ask some big questions.
Yeah, like one.
And
of
I'm
the
going to take a
common
drink while you're
themes
answering, Cole.
That we've like just really focused on, especially like in this organization, is like one-to-one discipleship. So meeting with one person, developing them, teaching them, training them in like what we've learned, and growing them into disciple makers themselves, so that they
Great.
can then branch off and make more disciples.
That's one of the big things. I was just meeting with the one girl that I'm discipling, and I actually I was going to tell you guys this, but she's in my sorority and she's in my Bible study, and she accepted Christ last night.
Let's go.
I know.
Awesome.
I was really excited because I was feeling that like the Holy Spirit was like, stirring something up, and she didn't go to the conference this weekend, and I was like really upset that she didn't go, and I was like, oh, how's your weekend? And she's like, actually really not that good, like stuff happened and it wasn't good, and I'm just really upset with it. And I was like, man, you really should have gone to the conference. But God really works in those situations. Like he didn't want her to go to the conference because he worked through that, and now she was being convicted of that, and we just sat in my car for an hour down by the towers, and we just like talked, and I just prayed over her, and she accepted Christ. So I know, I'm just like, I'm like still riding that back from last night. I'm like, I'm not gonna do homework. Like,
So that was last night you found this out?
yes, yep. She's been in my Bible study for a few weeks, and I feel like she was being convicted of a lot of things during that time because she wasn't a believer, and like we were having these conversations about who Christ is, and she just doesn't have him personally. So being able to disciple her one-on-one is going to be super fun, and like now I get to do that, and we're going to go through John. I think
the scriptures are really clear that people who aren't saved, who haven't been born again, can't understand and discern the things of the Spirit, no matter how much. A lost person can read the Bible. Now, a lost person can read the Bible and get saved, and there's examples of that, and all the time. You think of the Ethiopian eunuch in Philip in Acts. Here's just walking along, and he looks over, and there's this eunuch reading the scrolls, and he asks, do you know what you're reading? And he's like, no, not really. I have no idea what, but he was reading, and God used that, and he used Philip. I'm tired today, and it's an hour and a half drive to get here, and I've never been on campus before, so I'm really out of my element here. So he used that, and it was a form of discipleship. But first, he took him through, and he preached the gospel from the scrolls. Obviously, we didn't have the New Testament at the time. Yeah. He preached the gospel from the scrolls, pointed the eunuch to Christ, and then when he did that, he's like, well, what's going to keep me from being baptized? And he's like, nothing. And the strange thing is, we don't have any indication that they ever had any contact after that, but he took the time to explain Christ out of the Old Testament scriptures to him, and so that's huge. And so the pivotal thing, and I'm going to ask you, how important is the gospel to discipleship?
It's the only thing.
So can we? Because what I run into with a lot of professing Christians, honestly, is, well, I just tell them about my life. Which, if your testimony is there and it includes the gospel, is great. But can anybody get saved apart from the gospel, the preaching of the gospel?
And I think the NAVS does a really good job of like living life. We do a lot of talking about like living life with people and doing life with people. And so like, I don't know what you guys are taking on this and like who you're discipling, but like, do you? And
feel free to push back if I say something.
Live life with them, like doing life is also really important. I mean, the gospel is obviously crucial to like talk with them, but I don't know.
Yeah, like I think living life is also hugely crucial because like not only like you can't just like tell them the words that it says and they see you living a completely different life, or like they don't have a model to follow.
You nailed it. You're supposed to live our life. What the scriptures say. You're supposed to live our lives in such a way so as people will see our good works and glorify God, and also that they're going to come up and ask us for the hope that lies within us. And that's where you've heard of apologetics, right? You know what apologetics are? Christian apologetics is to give a defense for your faith. Oh yeah. So that's that the word there about giving a defense or giving a hope for what lies within you is apologetics. And part of that apologetic approach is once somebody, and we do, I agree with you, Cole, right? 100%. We have to be living out our faith in a way so that when we do proclaim the gospel to somebody, they don't look at us and go, well, you're over here telling me that I'm a wicked, rotten sinner who has no hope of heaven apart from Christ, and yet you were getting drunk and high and having sex with 15 girls at the party this weekend. They're not going to take you at your word at that point, are they? So I agree with you 100% that our lives have to reflect what it is that we're preaching. And that's one of the reasons we engage in these conversations with people. It just happens to be that you're the first people that I stopped to talk to who happen to be, you know, Christian, which is great because I like to have these conversations with other Christians as well. It's just funny that you're the first ones today, you know, especially on a university. I mean, how big is this campus roughly as far as students?
Like 13,000.
13,000.
Undergrad.
Yeah.
So you have 13,000 students undergrad, and the first 3 people that I stop and talk to are all part of a Christian group, which is great. I'm encouraged by that, you know. And I managed to hand out probably about 30 DVDs from the visitor parking lot up to here, which is amazing in the amount of time that it took me to walk, even at my age. So what I would ask you guys to do is watch the DVD. Really think about, and hear this not as a challenge about your faith, but what I have to challenge myself with every day is, how familiar am I with the gospel? And I do things like this all the time. I'm literally a street evangelist, not the hellfire and brimstone, go out and scream at people.
Yeah, we have
kind.
some of those come through.
I do open. I'm
Gives us a bad name. We're
No,
like,
no, I am.
That's not right.
I'm actually really familiar with the kinds of people you're talking about, and I actually like to follow them, and here's why. No, I do, because I can stand up and do open air proclamation in a very engaging way, without, you know, you have to raise your voice sometimes in a group to be heard, but what they do, honestly, is not gospel. It's not gospel proclamation. And they're actually the ones that, there's one that I know that's from Cedar Rapids who goes to campuses, like he goes to University of Iowa. He's never told me about coming here, but I've seen his videos. And all he does is he stands there and screams at people and tells them to stop sinning. That's not the gospel.
I think, honestly, like for me at least, when I see those people, and then everyone gets so upset about it, it really just opens up a discussion on campus, and like people come to ministry to like ask these questions of like, is this really true? So it kind of just opens up conversation, like open conversation. I
would encourage you, the next time you hear one of those guys is on campus, follow it.
Like, hey, do you want to know the real gospel?
No.
Yeah.
I know that sounds hard, and you know, like, you obviously are not an introvert.
No, I'm not. She's
Are you?
cold.
I'm always cold. So, like, I don't like Iowa, but I love Iowa at the same time.
Where are you from?
I was born in Missouri.
Because Missouri is so far south. I'm just picking on.
That's pretty cool.
It is. No, there is a difference.
Got Alabama blood in me anyway.
I'm from Minnesota, so even the hour and a half drive down here, I'm watching the temperature go up in varying degrees. You know, it's like I left home, it was 38. And I was walking around outside without a jacket on, and now I'm down here with a jacket on going, man, I am really hot. But I didn't.
Negative 60 in Wisconsin sometimes.
Ben, you're from Wisconsin?
Way up north, yeah.
Yeah, well, but I know you guys got to eat, and I appreciate your time. Watch the DVD and check out the website. That's associated with, it's called Wretched Radio and Wretched TV. It's .org. Todd is a former seminary student / former stand-up comedian, and my name's Todd, but I'm not the same Todd. He's freakishly tall, I'm just freakishly old. Todd is a former seminary student who was unconverted in seminary. Well, think about that. And a former stand-up comedian, and so he brings an engaging humor to his radio broadcast and to his TV show. But when he does campus ministry, he lives in the Atlanta area now. He used to live up around the Twin Cities. But when he does a campus ministry, it is the complete, even his open air is absolutely amazing compared to what you guys have seen. It's just, it will blow you away. He literally stops and talks to people. And check out the DVD. And if you're like, wow, this really resonates with me, and yes, I'm a Christian, hand it on to somebody else. Let somebody else benefit from it, because it is powerful. And so I appreciate I forgot your name. Kathryn, Cole, and Meredith. I don't know why I forgot yours. So.
That's okay.
You guys have a great day, and thanks for your time. Yeah. Is there a place where I'm going to get like a lot of people all at once?
Union.
Yeah.
Probably outside.
Right,
of
like
Union.
honestly, right at those benches, or the fountain down the hill.
Those
In
bend-
between
those-
classes, those are heavy traffic areas. So like once 11:50 rolls, or wait, no, it's past 11:50. Once 12:50, 12:50 rolls around, that's when everyone's going to be
12:50
crossing
to
around.
1.
It's like the between like the 10 minutes to hours.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, if you think of it, pray for the effectiveness of this today.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you guys have a great day.
Thanks.
And I promise you, I am not one of the bad guys. I'm an actual Christian, and I'm not one of the bad examples. You guys have a great day.